The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. And on today's episode, I am going to be joined by Pavlo Pikulin, who is the founder and CEO at Deus Robotics. And we're going to talk about Deus Robotics and what they do, how he came to found this company, and how they're addressing end-to-end robotic solutions for warehouse operations. Specifically, we're going to talk about how they've created this AI brain to be able to help and do those types of things. So, Pavlo, welcome to the show. How are you?
Very nice to meet you. I am good. I'm very inspired to talk about Deus Robotics and warehouse automation. So let's go.
All right, let's go. I like that. So let's get into this. Let's talk about this a little bit. So you are the founder and CEO at Deus Robotics, and I'm curious. I want to hear your story a little bit, hear a little bit about your background and how you kind of came to found this company, Deus Robotics, and what is Deus Robotics all about?
I was dreaming about creating robots from my childhood, from my first computer program when I was 5. I always knew that robots would make our lives better. So at 19, I created my gaming development studio, where we got more than 100 million users worldwide.
Wow.
And it was created for generate funds to create robotic company. So a few years ago, I invested my own money to create robotic company and launched Deus Robotics. If talk about my background, I'm now pursuing PhD in robotics. I finished cybernetics faculty in Ukraine and Kyiv. At 15, I created my first AI system for recognizing number plates of the cars from the video. So dreams comes true. Now everybody understands that robots are our future. And in our company, we provide end-to-end solution for warehouse automation to our customers. Our vision is that businesses should be able to work with any type of hardware of any type of robots through single unified platform. And I hope that this platform would be like a Deus Robotics platform. We have 2 own models of robots, but now we are able to work with robots from different manufacturers. And we have in our product line 15 robots. And it's very important for customers because warehouses are limited in using robots for automation. And here are several key reasons for that. Every robotics provider covers only a fraction of automation needs. There are too many providers to choose from. Integration with each provider separately are costly and time consuming. And robots from different providers are not connected. They can't be centrally managed. So you need to make a lot of integrations. All of these robots cannot work in the same area. They cannot communicate with each other. So you can't cover all automation needs in your warehouse. So here, Deus Robotics comes in. Our AI platform connect all in one system, and we can provide robots from different manufacturers, robotic providers, and all of them can work together in one system, communicate with each other, etc. And our customers can just integrate and connect with our system.
Very interesting, yeah, and I think it's super interesting that you started with game development and now doing robotics, right? So I think for anybody out there that's telling their kids not to play video games, maybe it can become something more than just a hobby, right? And do something like that. And I think it's very interesting too that you're focused on, this integration aspect, which I think is probably, one of the most challenging parts, right? And I think that's, I think if we look at warehouse operations, we look at the industry, sometimes when we have to talk about either integration or implementation, that's where people start to get a little nervous or a little scared about doing those types of things because, it can be something like historically that can be quite challenging, right? And I think it's interesting that you're focused on that and that you also have your own robots that you're putting out there, but also, focused on being able to enable integration with other manufacturers' robots too, as well, which I think is, increasingly becoming more and more important because, there's not really a company out there that's kind of a one size fits all or can do every single thing within the warehouse. So having that communication between is key. So tell us a little bit about kind of, I guess because it's essentially like an AI brain, I think is how you describe it, right? So tell us kind of what does that mean exactly, and how does that kind of help to address some of these challenges that we're talking about here?
Thank you for your question, and I agree that playing games not always a bad thing. For example, in online games, I managed 12 clans where was 400 people, and I managed them to win. And after that, in a few years, I created a gaming company where I managed 700 people. And actually, you need the same skills to manage people in online game or in real life. So it depends what you do in these games. So it's not always a bad thing. When you're trying to build something in game, not trying to destroy or just consume, it can be very good for your child. And I want to say that developing games and developing robots in some kind is the same thing, because when you're creating new type of robots, you need to create AI for these robots. In games, you're also creating AI for NPC, for characters. They need to decide what to do, how to find the best, for example, their behavior. Also, when we test our robots, even before we manufactured it, we create a simulating system like a digital twin of this robot, digital twin of a warehouse, and make simulation and test these robots virtually. And it helps us to design fast robots and test all scenarios, which can never occur in real life, for example. So we are creating a game where we test our robots which have behavior like some characters in the game. So my experience in gaming industry was very helpful in robotics. If you talk about AI brains, what we mean? We mean that in our company we developed several technologies which can be used in different types of robots. For example, we created indoor navigation system which collects data from sensors from all the environment, and our AI merge this data to understand where our robot located. Also, we created path planning system where several hundreds of robots can plan how they need to navigate to their final point. And it's very complicated task, but it's useful for different types of robots. We created system which can manage all of devices on these robots. Engines, sensors, cameras, lift. So this system which can operate different hardware can work on different types of robots. And when we created our company, we always design our software like modular systems which can be used on different types of robots. It doesn't matter, it's our robots or robots from other manufacturers. And from this year, we decided to open our ecosystem to integrate robots from other manufacturers to our system and install our AI brains to these robots. And we think that It's our competitive advantage because all our competitors focused on their ecosystems and they cannot work with other types of robots. How we differentiate from integrator companies, for example. Integrator companies, they just use hardware and software from robots provider. But our approach is different. We use just hardware from robotic provider. But robot, it's not just about hardware. Hardware, it's almost commodity now, hundreds of manufacturers around. But robot, it's hardware plus AI. And in my opinion, AI is the most valuable thing in complete product like robot.
We'll be back after a quick break.
I hope you're enjoying this episode. Do you want more warehouse content delivered to your inbox? Sign up for our new email series called Warehouse Wisdom Wednesday to get an educational series of emails on warehouse basics delivered directly to you every Wednesday morning. Find the sign up link in the show notes. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point there at the end because it is, we get so caught up and our attention, right, goes to kind of the hardware because that's what we see, right? And, we see these robots, whether it's, an AMR or it's a picking arm or a robotic arm or a humanoid even. And, that catches our attention, right? We see that because this is wow, robots are here. They're actually doing things. This is really a part of life now. But the reality, like you said, is that, it's just a piece of hardware in a sense, right? I mean, it's just the keyboard here that's on my desk in front of me, is only as good as, the software that helps support that keyboard and is able to then relay whatever I'm pressing and generate that onto the screen, right? So it's the same with those robots where, the software is really what's driving that hardware and allowing that hardware to do something, meaningful and purposeful and being able to do these tasks that we're asking them to do, I guess, in a sense, right? So tell us a little bit about, I guess, from your perspective, because I saw on the Deus website, right? You say that you're doing end-to-end robotic solutions for warehouse operations, right? So tell us how your solution is kind of end-to-end, and how does somebody work with your solution to be able to apply that to maybe existing automation they have already, or if they're just about to kind of start bringing in automation, how do they work with that and then be able to expand into this end-to-end solution?
Additionally, for previous question, I want to add that actually such type of hardware could be designed even 70 years ago. But it was not possible to create software, modern software like we use today, and we didn't have sensors which we use today. But was not so good. But most of hardware could be created and designed even 70 years ago for the same type of robot. So here, why are robots accelerating growth just now, not 70 years ago? Because of software and batteries and sensors. If we talk about what we provide, what do we mean by end-to-end solution? We mean that we provide everything to customer. We start from project planning, where we collecting all information about warehouse, about business processes in warehouse, what actually human do in warehouse. We are trying to understand what is the way for goods which stored in warehouse from coming into warehouse and coming out. And after that, we create digital twin of this warehouse simulation, where we put all of this information and data and simulate this warehouse with the same processes, but with our robots. And we're trying to understand what is the best way to use our robots to get maximum efficiency. And we try hundreds of different layouts of robots and humans. We test them like for 1 year simulation. In our simulation, we can test it in a few minutes, like robots working 1 year. And when we finish this process, we have results, which is layout is the best for customer. We understand at this moment how many people we need in this warehouse. We understand how many robots do we need in this warehouse. And we calculate a financial model for customer, how fast they will get to the point of return on investment. And when the project accepted by customer, we manufacture hardware by our partners or our 2 types of robots and deliver these robots to warehouse and make integration with all of these robots to warehouse, provide trainings and integrate our system to warehouse management system of customer. And all after that, we provide maintenance. So just only one company is responsible for all paths from project planning to maintenance. And it's very important for customers because if you have several companies who are responsible of this project, it's a big risk that something will go wrong. And we know that you cannot calculate all of the risks. And if it will be different companies, it's a high risk that it will not be managed in a very short time. So when customer work with our company, it means that we can manage any unusual situation very fast and guarantee that integration will go smoothly and that our robots will work smoothly too.
Interesting. And yeah, I think it's very interesting because oftentimes you see where, there's a robotic solution, but then that's, they do implementations through an integrator or through a partner and all that project planning and development, and then maintenance is potentially another company or something of that nature. And I think that's very interesting that you guys are going from all the way from the project planning through the implementation, integration, and then even through the continued maintenance of that as well. So if we look at some of those things and we look at the warehouse industry as a whole, we're certainly at a point where there's obviously a huge amount of automation and robotics options out there, right? And I think to that point, there are so many options out there that it becomes difficult in some ways for a warehouse operation to navigate or understand what's the best option for them, what's the best solution that they should go with. So I'm curious, as we're developing the solution and continuing to develop the solution, what are some of the maybe top challenges that warehouse operators are having when it comes to automation, or what's maybe, holding them back from, going all in on automation or just even starting with an automation project in the first place?
In our opinion, that most challenging is to understand how to integrate robotic automation to warehouse. And this integration also is very challenging. And when you integrate some robotic solution, which will not cover all of your operations, and you understand that in future you need some new automation, you will need to make new integration. So each time when we calculate project, we see that customers trying to understand how many resources they will spend to implement automation to their warehouse and how fast they will have results. And in warehouse, you need to make a lot of changes, for example, to replace current shelves to new shelves. You need to change layout, you need to build new business processes, and it take a long time, a lot of resources to integrate. And for example, if your warehouse work just few hours per day, you have just several employees in this warehouse. Return on investment will be very long, and this customer can understand that they don't need automation now. It's better to leave it like like now.
Mm.
Also, any innovation, it's like a challenge. It's like risk. The workers sometimes not ready to take risks because business is working, everything is fine. Yeah, you can get some profits from automation, but in their minds, sometimes it's like very high risk. In this situation, my recommendation is to automate step by step, make small pilot in small space in warehouse, just for few robots, test the solution, understand that everything is working fine. After that, you can scale it to a bigger part of warehouse or full warehouse. And after that, you can scale it to other warehouses. So it's not so high risk for your business. I think that many warehouses not automated because it's very difficult for customers. Why? Because most of them never worked with robotic solutions.
Right.
And don't understand how to implement robots. And just to understand how to implement them, even our company, we need all of the data, how this warehouse works. And not all of our customers have this information online. Sometimes you need to go to this warehouse on site, talk with people, collect parts of this data to understand what actually going on in this warehouse. So I think that it's a matter of time because each year more and more warehouses automated by robots. People understand better how to work with robots, where they're useful. And with time, I think that more and more warehouse managers will understand that they need robots, how to implement, and will better calculate profits from integration.
Yeah. I think all those are certainly challenges. And I think one for sure that stands out to me that you mentioned there is that, the business is working, right? So, why would we try and, maybe come in here and disrupt something, right? But I think a lot of it too is, looking at the future and how you're future proofing your operation to be able to, handle things like, potential fluctuations in labor or just, increased demand from consumer or whoever your customer is and all these different things. And, it's good to keep an open mind with that automation in that sense to be able to do that and, kind of, just accepting that, we've been doing it this way for 20 years and it works. At some point, I think that typically kind of catches up to you and either someone is going to, take a more tech forward approach to what you're doing and, kind of surpass you in terms of competition, or, there's going to be a shift in the market and it's going to, you're going to have to all of a sudden start to look at this stuff very quickly where you could have, started planning and looking at these things in maybe more of a slower pace and ramp up to, I guess, test the waters in a sense to do that. So very interesting insights from you there and perspective on that. Now, I'm curious, as you look at Deus Robotics and, you start to bring this in and you're doing these end-to-end solutions, what does it look like for someone who engages with you? How does an implementation work? And, what does that process kind of look like to bring Deus Robotics into your operation?
I totally agree with you that if you will not automate, your competitors will surpass you. It's just a matter of time when automation will be almost everywhere. And we have calculations which show that cost of operation in warehouse with robots twice less than in warehouse just with humans and without automation. So maybe for small warehouses, it does not matter. But if you're big warehouse and you can decrease your cost of operation twice, and for example, if you're a 3PL operator who actually sell costs of operation, you can become more profitable or have lower prices with robotic automation. And if you talk about small warehouses, it's just a matter of time when it will be so easy to integrate robots like a vacuum cleaner robot, when you can go to shop, buy it, and integrate in your small warehouse. After this moment, even small warehouses will be all automated by robots. And just only one reason why you can't buy this robot in the shop and automate, because it's very difficult to integrate for this moment. But our company, our competitors, all of robotic companies working on this task, and in future, in 5-7 years, it will be easier, like to buy vacuum cleaner robot, you can buy logistics robot and implement by yourself in your warehouse. If you talk about how our customers work with us, we have questionnaire where we have maybe 15 questions to our customer, which data we need to understand how they operate. We have some requirements. For example, our robots need even floor. They work just inside buildings. What does it mean? It means that our robots afraid of direct rays, because sensors of robots can become blind, and it's very important for safety. Also, it's about temperature, so they can operate in some temperature. And when we collected all the data, we create a working group with our customer, where our managers, product manager, solution architect, we have a key account manager in this group. And from customer side, we need people who can provide how actually everything working inside warehouse. It depends on the size of the company. If it's not a big company, it's like operational manager. Sometimes it's a director of warehouse. Sometimes it's a VP of logistics. So they are people who are responsible of building business processes inside warehouse. And together we think how to achieve best results and to have maximum return on investments of robotic implementation.
Interesting. Yeah. And I think that's a great thing. And, I love the fact that you guys are doing that end-to-end support as well in that sense, because I think for someone that's just entering into the automation world and robotics world and trying to kind of navigate that and figure that out, it's a lot better to have someone that's going to be able to bring all those things together in kind of one package, I guess, in a sense. So very interesting to talk to you here, Pavlo, and learn more about Deus Robotics, and looking forward to continuing to see how you grow and start to build out this company more and get more implementations in place and be able to see, I guess, how the AI brain continues to grow there and gain more knowledge. So if people are interested in learning more about Deus Robotics, what's the best way to do that?
You can subscribe to our LinkedIn in the robotics page, where we publish all last news about the company. Also, you can visit our website. And actually, if you're interested in our solution, you even can contact me in LinkedIn, and I will be happy to answer and help you with your questions.
All right, fantastic. And we'll definitely put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com so people can easily find it. So, Pavlo, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Enjoyed this episode? Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, and for more content from the New Warehouse, find us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Links to subscribe can be found in the show notes, and for everything The New Warehouse, head to thenewwarehouse.com.